What's good? What's going on, people? Catching you right before the drop of the music here. This is a whole lot of Kalamata. I wanted to take the time to wrap up more of the identity series that I ended up making a playlist of YouTube videos. I went through my job loss on a video there and kind of my identity in Christ, then went through Genesis 1, 2, and 3 before I dabbled into the fall of humanity, Genesis 4 and 5. So in the interest of identity and time expenditure, how have I been spending my time? Seeing as how I have a lot of altogether, I have applied to 68 jobs. I got an Excel spreadsheet going on. This is a month and 3 days that I have overall had to invest that time. Not exactly the target score. I was aiming for 75, so was a few shy. Ended up seeing a lot of repeat jobs on LinkedIn that I ended up encountering after I really started hitting that. Started looking around at city jobs and didn't really find a whole lot applicable to me. Even jobs that I felt that I greatly qualified for, I ended up receiving the, hey, we appreciate you applying, but unfortunately we're going to go a different avenue of approach. We're going to go with someone else. So totally fine. I get it that, a piece of paper is not the same as an interview, and that an interview or even a working interview, which I'm surprised more people, more companies don't do those, just to see how that person interacts or problem solves or even collaborates, communicates. I think that there is an amazing resource in that, but maybe it's just the liability nowadays that people avoid that. I don't really know the rhyme or reason, and I'm not an employer, so I can't necessarily say, but if I had to guess, it'd be fear of litigation and just fear altogether. So that being said, I have taken some steps on my end to invest my efforts, not just into the job front, but also into filing for unemployment. I'll touch a little bit more on that later. Even just being here on YouTube, there is a number of pieces of software that I can learn. So I was recommended DaVinci Resolve, an example, as one of them. Software to create, the thumbnail, how to better handle audio, and how to best address some of content creation. So a couple different facets between learning the software, coming up with ideas, and then just kind of content generation in general. There's obviously a learning curve. There's obviously being creative. There's a couple different things in terms of investing that time that I'm dabbling in, but then also some I'm pulling back on, saying, I don't know if I really want to put all this effort into something just to find out where the limits are and then find it's not capable of doing what I need it to. So if I'm honest with myself and where I'm at right now, during this period of reflection, asking, reevaluating what I want for my future self, I'm fearful that I'm investing the time poorly. Like, God has given me this time, is the way I look at it. And it's not that I'm afraid to learn, it's that I'm afraid what I learn will not be applicable for what I want to accomplish. Like, there's a need of needing to pay the bills. There's a want of, I want to do this. And then there's like learning curve coming in and squashing your want. And then you're just like, does this even facilitate what I want? So let alone what I need. And that's kind of what I don't know if that makes any sense, but what I'm feeling and thinking inside is this the best way to invest my time? Much like a career does that. And by career, I'm just talking about a lot of the jobs that I've worked. It's funny how everybody says, oh, you can start a career here, and then it ends up just being a job. It's not a good fit, both for the company in terms of the economy, but then also you individually for whatever your career aspirations are. It just doesn't gel well. Literally, I just looked up a job listing for one of the companies I used to work for on their website, and they're still hiring for one of the roles, and they've, at least historically, let off 23% of their workforce. Why would I go back to the company that's let off 23% of their workforce? There's no loyalty there. So is this what I want? Is this what I need? And that's what I'm talking about. It's like, well, the bills are paid. That's not good enough anymore. It's not that the bills just need to be paid. It's that I actually need to fit. I don't need, at this company at least, 5 to 6 trigger warning emails talking about politics and all that. I'm there to work. I'm there to render service. I'm there to provide something of value, but I'm not there to read trigger warnings on identity politics and all this nonsense. Like, I don't know why you go to work but I'm just feeling on my end, I don't really need to hear this email. This is taking away from my workday rather than contributing towards it. I've been talking around to a lot of different people though, both in the networking for other jobs, but also with just understanding their expertise. One of my buddies, a really cool guy, he used to work for a church. He was recommending for his experience, he did not like DaVinci Resolve. This is the exact opposite of the other buddy I have from California, who literally was telling me, he runs an anime channel, I'll link him down below. He was saying that you got to get on DaVinci Resolve. Now I'm using Clipchamp right now. I don't always have the most favorable disposition of Microsoft products, just in general for how they run their business. It's very monopolizing just in nature, and I don't want to go down the whole economic route of that, but more so I want stability, I want ease of use. And so to go from Clipchamp, which is very user-friendly, to DaVinci Resolve, it's very intensive. I had downloaded some videos from the website, specifically Black Magic Cloud is the name of the company that puts out DaVinci Resolve, and it was just a lot. This guy went 25 minutes hard in the paint about metadata. And it's like, dude, that's cool that you can tag all this stuff and create all these little folders and buckets and stuff, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I need. I feel like a good majority of it's just overkill. Now, DaVinci Resolve is an amazing product in and of its own right for people that are in the movie or videography industry. So bridging in this element of audio, I don't know if it's the best. My buddy that I was talking about before, he ended up saying, hey, I couldn't manipulate when I was working for the church the audio in such a fashion to edit it appropriately. I couldn't, get the fades right. I couldn't do this and that. And so you might need to work with it in Audacity, then bridge it in there. And I don't want to have to go learn an application for several hours on end, find out what the limitations are, and then find out it doesn't completely facilitate my needs. It just kind of seems like a whole buying the saddle before the horse kind of method, and I don't want to do that just because the time investment. I mean, I'm literally being told by that same guy, hey, go learn Python. It's not a good market right now, and I think it just has to do with the upcoming election. I think things could very well smooth out for us depending on who is elected. I think they could also go the exact same way it's been going for the last 4 years, which is further increase in price, further craziness in terms of jobs. I know a lot of businesses are very hesitant right now. So I think that's really what's attributing to the market. As a result, I have picked up what I thought was really cool. He told me to go check out this boot camp. I don't have any affiliation with them, but it's boot.dev, and learn Python that way. And so I've been checking out a little bit of YouTube here and there. I don't want to get too sucked in that rabbit hole because it just seems like they have a litany of different resources or boot camps to recommend or something that they are advertising. Boot.dev does have a membership fee for a yearly element, but there are coupon codes out there. It's very easy and able to find. So all that to say, I have applied for unemployment. It's not as easy as I was thinking it was going to be. I had to speak with an adjudicator. I had to provide them information as far as why I believe I was wrongfully terminated, kind of tell the story, and I think she did an excellent job given the situation. I was just kind of shotgunning her with way too much info, and it's not that I was going too personal, but it's just you could tell she had developed a thick skin through sense of timing that she did not want to go down any particular way, even if that, story or recollection or conveyance of what happened does answer her question. She just wanted in and out. She just wanted to be, hey, this and that. And I think for all being said, I didn't exactly 110% get her, but I feel like 80% of what I wanted to say was laid out there. And for me, that's good enough. I don't want to rehash a bunch of nonsense. I've already lived through it. I don't need to relive through it again. So I'm very, very, very grateful for that time, for the adjudicator reaching out to me. Also kind of just understanding the process. God is bringing me through this. I am wholeheartedly trying to understand what somebody else has gone through, other people might deal with on a day-to-day basis. This is my first time on unemployment ever. I'm 33 years old. I have a college degree. I have 2 certifications. I have 5 years experience. I don't think I should have to do that. But this economy is what it is. It's crap. It's not good. It's not helping the people. I have been fascinated with that presidential campaign ad that talks about, Reagan saying, were you better off 4 years ago? And regardless of your political affiliation, I'm not trying to, create a political platform here. I just think that's a very interesting question to ask people. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And I think that's the kind of discussion, to me, when anybody's talking about religion or politics or whatever, that's where the rubber meets the road. How has God gotten you through a set of circumstances? Where has He shown His goodness, His character, His grace, and given you that time? Where has He heard you? Where has He met you in your sorrow? And I'm not trying to equate the president or would-be president or a presidential candidate with the Messiah, but I'm saying how people talk about don't ever bring up religion and politics. If I can't talk about it with family, if I can't talk about it with friends, if I can't talk about it at work, if I can't talk about it, that's why I'm on this platform. That's why I'm talking about this right now, is because of the fact that there's a lot of people trying to shut down those conversations. All I'm trying to do is realistically connect with someone and say, hey, what is your honest truth? What is your experience? What have you seen? What has transpired in your life? And that to me is exciting. That is rewarding. That is deeper connection. That is fellowship when you get to have that. Now, obviously, there are some differences. I don't think any of the presidential candidates in any way, shape, or form are, Jesus coming down, and I would never dare equate the Messiah to that. But I'm just saying the topic of conversation being there, with it being very timely, that's affecting the economy very greatly. That's affecting the jobs and a lot of employers out there. That's kind of why I'm bringing this all up. So I will say that between trying to learn Python and read these books, I got, Living Good Daily I'm reading, got 1984 by George Orwell, I got The Creative Act, blanking on the producer's name that put out The Creative Act, Rick Rubin. But reading a ton of books, cleaning up some household chores that I've put around. I was trying to make a sound studio, and I had this Amazon purchase of this like resin that you apply to the wall, and it's great. It sticks to the wall, but because of the heat in my state, it does not adhere necessarily the best with the foam panels. Some of them are still up, others are not. So very tricky, and I'm trying to still figure out how do I, in a rental house, still put up a sound studio. So that's been part of what I've been trying to address on my end. I have a litany of other things that I'm trying to figure out. I got like Adobe Express, an example that's been excellent at making YouTube thumbnails, has not been the easiest, most responsive. Sometimes it doesn't work the best in, say, like Firefox, might work better in Chrome, but just the way even the navigation feels is somewhat, in my eyes, a little bit clunky, could be smoothed out. But I'm doing things like trying to learn Ableton. I'm trying to rehearse some poetry that I have. I got some poetry buddies that are in this Metro Valley that I'm in, and ultimately kind of learn, kind of absorb culture, kind of pick people's brains, kind of just really experience life, actually do life, as opposed to this just work my job, come home, work my job, come home. I mean, I was able to ultimately connect with 2 of my Bible groups or Bible study groups that I go to, one of which has been really awesome. We've been going over The Chosen, dabbling in on the specifics of each character, but then watching them act it out in terms of personifying that or giving a face to a name you're normally reading. So I love The Chosen. I've watched all the seasons. I watched season 4 most recently in theater, spread across, I think, 3 separate visits that I had to go, because it was like episode 1 through 3, 4 through 6, and then 7 and 8. It's the way they broke it up. But regardless, just really fun to connect during this time of, hey, what are you doing? I really want to maximize, as a recovering addict, one, healthy dialogue, and 2, healthy community, and then 3, healthy disposition and discourse. Because to me, it's very easy talking to an adjudicator, talking to, on unemployment and this whole he said, she said kind of battle. It's very easy to get negative. It's very easy to kind of fall into this, well, this is what I'm owed. And I will admit I've already snuck ahead reading in Genesis, familiar with it obviously, and I've read the Bible a few times, but all the way up to Genesis 32 to try to understand how I want to formulate the conversations and how I want to portray the Bible as far as some of the details and the specifics. But that's what's been really awesome and really grounding during this time frame, is having God pour into me through other people in these Bible study groups. Right now I have my church going through a grace-based sermon series, and when I'm meeting with the Bible study group, this other one, Group B I guess you could call them, we're going over some of that same material but deeper. Now we're asking questions face to face as opposed to sitting in a congregation and not having that interaction. So I think that's so pertinent. I think that's so important. I think that's so crucial to your walk, to be faced with, well, the more difficult circumstances and conversations, but also just being real with someone. And so that gets me excited. That gets me amped up and like, yes, I want the community. I want the fellowship. I want the time. So we're going over grace, and I get challenged with like, who's somebody you need to forgive? And that's, for me, very real, much so right now, because I just want my pound of flesh. I just want, truth. I just want vengeance. In other words, I'm waiting for the other foot to drop because I was wrongfully terminated, is how I see it, based off of the fact that you were asking for me to cover for someone else's schedule when you had 7 months to plan accordingly. Your failure to plan is not an obligation on my part to redo my life. What they were essentially asking me to do was forsake one of the Bible study groups as well as my therapy. And I said, I'm not going to do that. Can you push? I was brainstorming and trying to compromise. I said, can you push that start time to 7 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock? And that person was refusing to do it. And so that might have been part of the reason that attributed to them letting me go, but it was very much more multifaceted than that. There was an interaction that day, and it just gets, again, to the pointing of fingers and name calling. And I personally, one, don't want to give voice to that because that's reliving it, what I've already lived out, but also just out of respect for the situation. I don't think me putting that out there is in good taste. That's for the adjudicator to decide on. That's for, me and God to really work out. But that's the point. God and I are going through this journey together, and it's the relationship I share to him. I'm God's son as being a believer, being grafted in, as Paul talks about, to the body of Christ. I'm grafted in, and I am able to talk with him. I have the advocate, the Holy Spirit, working through me to convict me and say, hey, you know what? Even though I want my pound of flesh, I want the other foot to drop. I want the truth to break. I don't want this damned up aspect of lies this person has constructed to not just break down and have this deluge of truth come rushing out. I already got confirmation from people from the job that I got let go from were texting me saying like, hey, so-and-so, the manager, was pissed off when they heard that you got let go. Like, it was done under pretenses that weren't good. Again, not trying to go to that, but looking at the goodness of God, reading, elements of Genesis, I'm finding myself in those characters. I'm finding them under circumstances, specifically, if you know the story, Jacob, where he was wrongfully taken advantage of, and that's how I feel. And so I'm resonating with that. I'm saying this is where I'm finding my identity, because God is for me. He is not against me. I know he's going to get me through this. I know I'm not going to be on unemployment for forever. That's not what I want anyways. I don't even want to be on unemployment. It takes 6 weeks to get paid for that, and I have to file all these elements of I apply for this job, I apply for that job, and then, just kind of going through this whole process. I got to activate the card. I got to go through ID me. I got to, set up an account. You got to there's so many facets to it that it's been interesting seeing another facet of life that somebody else might be very well living out, And that might be something that God gives me to connect with somebody later on down in my life, being like, hey man, are you on, food stamps, on EBT? I've filed for unemployment. I know what that's like. I know what it's like getting the card and having to go through all that nonsense. That's not fun. That's not easy. And they don't give you enough. From my unique circumstances, that's all I can speak on. But I'm only allotted like $7,500 like altogether based on the amount that I made for this year. So it's basically, after taxes are taken out, it's basically just enough to cover rent. I might get like maybe $100 out of it, if that. But it's very, hey, rent would be paid, and then that's it. So I think that gives perspective, just kind of going all around with, it's like the unemployment, the forgiveness. God's working on my heart. He's helping me find myself inside these stories in Genesis with other people. And that's what I wanted to speak to identity on. I wanted to actually have this be more personal, be more applicable. How does the same God who's working with an agricultural society, who's tilling the land, doing farming, living off of the sustenance they're growing, work alongside God? Your Adam and Eve, your Enoch, your Jacob. How are these people calling out to God in their stress, in their woes, in their calamity, when things are not going right? And that's what's amazing about the Bible, is you can see God still working through these people. They're stupid. They're going on their own ways. They're doing their own thing. But even though the fact that they're on their own freaking program, their OFP, they still are asking God. They're still starting that conversation. And I find that's where, in your frustration, you got to start that conversation as well. I'm finding I'm having to do that very much so, very applicably right now, that I need God, because of the fact that, dude, this economy is falling apart. It feels like the collapse of the US is going to be here any month now. Coming out and saying, hey, here's what I'm going through. Is anybody else in this crazy economic time we're living in going through chaos as well? And so it's been awesome being able to go out and, hey, I bought a giant storage case. I was cutting foam out of it to put a particular item into it, which is kind of cool. I went and bought a helmet. I ended up dropping my $600 helmet and breaking it. I bought that for $450, I want to say. I got like an employee discount when I worked at a motorcycle dealership, and ended up dropping it. And the foam core liner, I guess, started degrading after the drop. So the wind flow into the helmet was literally causing my ears to ring. So now I'm back on a new helmet, Snell certification, if you know what that is. It's just extra safety standard. And, trying to kind of measure what's good for my hearing, because I don't want to just be having my ears ring. But being able to take that time during this intermittence of working with jobs and dealing all with life, looking at God's creation while I'm riding the motorcycle, while I got the protection on, and saying, thank you, God. Thank you that you let me see what your creation holds. And I think that when we stop life momentarily, all this crazy inertia, go, work, when we slow down and we stop life, like just stop. I'm not saying stop your heart. I'm saying stop walking, stop talking, just stare. Now, there's probably going to be somebody that's, maybe I'm just old and thinking of the Maroon 5 Stop and Stare song, but I think it's something to behold. Looking at, all of the cascading rays bleeding through the clouds early in the morning. I went for a ride earlier and it was awesome. And so I'm going to plan on getting some more of that footage. I want to showcase more of what God has in store for people. There is hope to be had, and that's what I want my identity to be in. I don't want it to be negative. I don't want it to be begrudging. I don't want it to be, man, my life sucked. I want it to be, I had every single circumstance met by God. Where I worked, where I lived, how I married, how I practiced sexuality, how I practiced finances, how I practiced communication, how I practiced fellowship, how I practiced reading, writing, learning, understanding. I want God to be there, and that's what I want in my life. So I hope you are having an excellent week. If not, I'm so sorry. I hope that, one, it turns around, but 2, you start that conversation with God if that's the case. If you are having a great week, if you are having a great life, whatever your circumstances are, take a moment. Stop, look around, see what God has put in your purview. And maybe you didn't notice before, you didn't behold the beauty that's before you. This is a whole lot of Kalamata. Thanks for your time.